India's plan to transforming India into a $5 trillion economy within the next 5 years. And that idea that first perceived by many had bit too ambitious on that time. Many think that it not be impossible or it's very difficult to achieve. And reforms in many sectors and areas and the taxes, subsidies and any addition to the transparency and the efficiency in the governance that's important for the setting up the national institution for transforming the India, and that is one of the most institutional reform that is useful and that is the unfold in nature. And that the other hand, the critics they have made cited about the country's huge reliance on the agriculture, the terms that depends on those infrastructure that is inadequate on that time, but now it's gradually improving, it's developing day by day, and that is the backbone of India's economy, the national infrastructure project and the national infrastructure pipeline, that is the infrastructure scale that India could run those important projects all over the country, and that can boost the economy in terms of highway construction, shipping, railway infrastructure and many other important sectors that are the reason that high level of infrastructure development and the high level of investment in the national infrastructure project pipeline can transform, and the reform has been made for India's economic boost and the dream target of $5 trillion economy in the next 5 years. The world in 2050, the report suggests that along with China, that will be the world leading economy by 2050, and Japan, South Korea and Australia will slip in terms of ranking among the top global economy. The Indian economy will surge to 17 trillion US dollar in 2030 and 42 trillion US dollar by 2050. That is claiming the second place ahead of US, and that will comfortably overtake the European Union and the US in share of the world GDP in PPP terms by 2044 and 2049. That is the report of the prestigious firm that declared those statements in a brief, and that the estimation that Indian economy will expand by an average annual rate of 6.4, that the previous time span of 2020 before the pandemic, and now they're remaining faster than the China after 2020, going to be a younger population and the greater scope for the catch-up growth and the development for the India currently enjoys the three major economic attributes that are also seen as a factor that will provide a leg up in the country's journey to a global economic powerhouse. That is favorable demographics, its status as one of the world's largest democracy, and to transforming India to a 42 trillion US dollar economy is going to be a cakewalk. Not possible. It's not been an easy work. It is almost impossible for a country like India to achieve this mammoth target of economic rich country, and that is a significant factor that will work towards India's dream ambitious target. But gradually India will look for those investment in many infrastructure projects. The startup industry as a form of Startup India campaign, the startup boost, that is the growth headroom for the India's economy, the startup industry, the boost in startup manufacturing and many other important factors that drive the economy to a new level, a new height. That is the important factor that the country will soon dwarf the rest of the world when it comes to the working age and the current young generation, that is the entrepreneurship, solopreneurship and many other important self-employable scope, the possibility that India has arrived in the working age population, and that is the people between 18 to 65 that contributing the large number of factor in the society, and that's compared to the other North American, Japan, and even China. India is an exceptionally young country, and that the majority of the population that is less than 30 years old, and by 2020 the average was 29, and compared to the 45 in the Western Europe and 48 in Japan. That is the key factor for India's economic growth, the boost in the economy in the next couple of years, and that the startup industry will play a major role. The competition between India and China would last till the 2030 at least. The Europe, US and Japan, they have melted down, and that's how this domestic demand has created a new competition level between India and China. The domestic demand has declined on that particular issues, and that's a new requirement, and that's a new opportunity for the South Asian nation. The Indo-Pacific region will be the main target area for many of the industry, and by 2030 it will be no longer have the world's largest working population. That honor will go to India, and that's why China has a sort of inverted pyramid, and that have the most senior citizen as a percentage. And the biggest skew in the history, that thanks to the one-child policy, the post-COVID situation, the world has serious trust that China is looking to disengage with the supply chain management with the China, and that's how these two rivalry in the South Asian, mainly Indo-Pacific region, in the South Asian region, will last for the next 10 to 15 years. The battle of the how much the opportunities, how much the importance globally, and how they become a global leader. Which country will emerge as a global leader is a battle of India and China. That's the countries like India, Vietnam, Bangladesh also, along with Africa, that will see the greatest growth in the next few decades. That there will be the largest economy in the world by 2050. That is a question mark. That is an interesting fact. And most people say China, a few say India, but the most put India as number 2, and some even at number 3. That will be a boost for the startup industry. That is a result of boost in startup industry, the enhancement, the digital ecosystem and those enhancement of the digital economy that thrives in the growth of India's journey towards a rich country in the South Asian nation, and India's ability to integrate the technology, that is the most critical sector that will. The recent pandemic era that forced the technical acceleration that upon India and the world will face, and that is the key for the GDP to enter the fast track of growth. That will depend on whether we can keep the momentum going. That is the right startup scenes in 2021 we got. That is the correct scheme related to the electronics, semiconductor, manufacturing, software, hardware and agri-technological industry. That's the ability to implement all the emerging technologies in the each and every industry and the sector. That will be the key differences for working towards a rich country in the Indo-Pacific region, how they grew up, how India could grow up as a strong tech economic industry and a tech economic country rather, that can pave the way for the other countries to follow, adopt and maintain those digital ecosystem and those ecosystem that can boost the startup industry in a long-term future. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.